these forces after it's too late. Analyze and anticipate ways to mitigate and even benefit from these external forces using tools like protons, phi forces, and PEST. We're going to discuss these forces and these tools in detail in the next few slides. The BMC is a great way to visualize a business, but in order to really understand where the business is and where it should be going, we take the help of something called as horizontal scanning, developed by Michael Porter in 1979, and it's still used by companies today to analyze the key forces that affect businesses. Some of the forces that are mentioned on the slides, and we'll discuss more about in the following slides, are buyer power, supplier power, threat to substitution, threat of new entities, and competitive rivalry. The reason I have indicated an arrow indicating to the fifth force, competitive rivalry, is because the first four forces are responsible and contribute to the fifth force, competitive rivalry, and we'll discuss more about it, why that happens. Our next slide and the first force we're going to discuss is buying power. It looks at the questions like how many buyers are in the market, what is the kind of buyer sensitivity in the market, where is the concentration of buyer power. Over the past decade, India has an increase in the number of people crossing the poverty line into the middle class, and we've seen the same kind of thing happen in China over the past 2 decades, where more and more people from the poverty line, poverty area, are crossing more into the middle class, and now they have more money to spend, more buying power to buy new things, new appliances, new amenities, and businesses keep track of such consumers that can afford their products. Some other example of the buying power and how it affects a market can be seen in the Hollywood movie sector. We see with more and more immigrants that have settled in the US having more buying power. Now Hollywood movies have started to cater towards a more population of people of color, and now since they have more money to spend, you can see more and more people of color in Hollywood movies, and that's kind of nice, because that kind of affects how market behaves, and market behaves according to a consumer's buying power. Other factors such as sales cycle, buying power, concentration in metropolitan areas also affect the buying power. Stuff like there are more buyers concentrated in a city structure. There are more concentration of these buyers affect the buying power in that area versus somewhere in the countryside. The next slide or power we're going to discuss is supply power. Supply power is concerned with how much leverage does a supplier have in an industry. Some of the questions posed are: how unique is the supplier? How easy is it to switch suppliers? In the luxury handbag industry, there are a handful of companies that are really popular. Companies like Prada, Hermes, and these companies have exclusive contracts with suppliers, tanneries, these family-owned tanneries in Europe that are very few in number, and they control the majority of the things, the majority of the quality handbags and quality products that they make. And so the supplier power in the case of luxury handbags has been pretty high. Research has shown that even with the entry of cheap knockoffs of products like these, the consumer still prefers and craves for quality products and quality and these brand names over the cheap knockoffs. And so the demand for these products has been high, and the supplier power has also been pretty high for these products. The threat of substitution is a force which looks at what are the chances a customer can get the same product from someplace else or use another product to do the same task. The market is filled up with such examples where a product is designed to solve a problem that can be easily solved using an inferior product. Or let's take an example of Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield has enjoyed a huge market share in manufacturing motorbikes of a certain kind, bullets, classic bikes that have really enjoyed a huge share of the market. People dream of having bikes like that made by Royal Enfield. The kind of quality they provide is amazing, and the reason they enjoyed such a huge share of the market, in spite of there being other companies in the market that also produce bike, but there are not many companies that make the same kind of bikes with the same quality and at the same price point. However, with the entry of the new Harley Davidson, they are facing a threat to substitution. The threat of substitution thus increases with increase in the number of competitors, provided the competitors can maintain optimum quality standards. The next force that we'll discuss is threat of new entries. The force look at how easy it is for a new player to enter market and capture a share. Some of the questions we'll look at are: what are the barriers to entry? What kind of capital is required to set up? Are there any government regulations? For example, let's take a semiconductor contract manufacturing company, TSMC, and having been worked in the industry, I know how much share TSMC holds of this market. It's over 50%, which is very impressive. And the reason it has been able to maintain such a huge share of the market is because it specializes in its field. TSMC is known for doing just one thing: making chips and making chips and making chips. They have gotten better at it over time, and that's why they command such respect in the market. Even companies like Intel and Samsung find it hard to compete with TSMC with the amount of money they've spent in research and development of their products. Apart from being specialized in the field, one of the reasons that it has stayed in the market is because the barrier to entry is really high, and it takes investments of not just millions but billions of dollars. The kind of investment you need is to not just set up but also to maintain the right amenities, cleaning room, water treatment facilities, stuff like that. So that has created a huge barriers for other companies to enter into the market. And so the threat of new entries is very low for TSMC because of these factors. All the previously discussed forces contribute to how it looks between different players in the market. We see the telecom industry in India, which is highly competitive. Each one of the players are trying to cut into other players' margins, and seems like Reliance has been having an upper hand in the cycle with competitive prices to offer. In the luxury handbag industry, there are around 10 major players that hold the major share of the market and a lot of money in the pot. In the airline industry, in recent years, we have seen airlines cutting costs, offering less and less amenities on board for cheaper and cheaper tickets. So the competitive rivalry in different markets differs depending on how the market behaves, and you can analyze each of these markets to find out more about what you want to know. The next tool we're going to discuss, not much in detail, is called PEST. It is one of the most simplest and effective tools for macro environmental analysis. It looks at political and economic, social, and technological trends that affect your market, your customers, your suppliers, your partners, and your overall industry. For a final activity, which would be a kind of homework for you guys, you'll have to use the techniques learned in this presentation, assess the forces in the market with respect to a company of your choice, evaluate these forces on a scale from low to high or on a scale of 0 to 10. I've given you an example of Tata, which is a rough example of how I've evaluated the 5 forces for the company. Buying power is medium to high, since more and more people are trying to get quality cars, and with the kind of affordable pricing that Tata provides, it's somewhere between medium to high. Supply power has been low to medium, since Tata makes most of it, is vertically integrated and makes most of its components. Threat of substitution is low compared to other companies. Threat of new entities is medium. New entry, is medium, and competitive rivalry is medium. We'll average all of these evaluations to come up with an average evaluation of medium. So go ahead, choose a company of your choice or a company that you're working for, and evaluate the 5 forces acting upon them. Best of luck. And with this, we end our lecture. Thank you, everyone.